Hey kids, imagine being the only pink elephant in a jungle full of noisy trumpets, but you just can't make a sound. What if everyone around you is shouting, cheering, and blowing their trunks, and you stay quietly by yourself? Meet Penny, the brightest pink elephant who's different in the most magical way. Can she find her own special voice without having to shout? Let's find out together. In a sunshine wilderness with parrots, monkeys, and frogs, there was a little elephant named Penny. However, Penny was different from other elephants. To start with, she was pink. Not dusty pink, nor muddy pink. Brilliant bubblegum, just blossomed kind of pink. The sort of pink that, even when she really did her utmost not to, stood out. And then there is one more thing. Penny did not have to blow. Not once. Never. As the other elephants lifted their trunks and trumpeted with delight or jocularity or excitement, Penny would pull her trunk in and be very, very, very quiet. There are cheery trumpets heard in the jungle morning by morning. Except Penny's. The others would giggle, "Come on, Penny!" Only a little blast. Give one. But Penny would laugh nervously and reply, "Maybe tomorrow." Everybody was not rude. Nobody mocked. But still, Penny felt unlike herself. She did not talk a little on nothing to say. Actually, Penny thought in the jungle the loudest. She adored stories and rain clouds and the leaves in sunlight, which were gold. But she could not trumpet because her trunk was tight. Her pulse was beating too fast. With her sounds, she kept her notes in a jar with the lid screwed on a button too tight. One morning, the herd was gearing up for the Jungle Joy Parade, a festival of dancing, colours, and one very loud final trumpet song. Each elephant would have a time in the centre of the clearing and would give his grandest, mirth-filled blast. All the elephants, and Penny. She made her ears slack at the thought of it. "I will do something about a decoration," she said hastily. "I am so great at hanging streamers." The rest nodded in friendly fashion. They were fond of Penny. She was an assistant, sweet, always smiling. One little elephant named Tamu was watching the lady. Penny was older than Tamu, who had large ears and an even larger voice. Towards evening, when Penny was putting flowers on a free-hanging branch of a banyan, Tamu appeared and seated herself beside her. "Why not blow a trumpet?" he said kindly. Penny paused. "I am not so good at it." Tamu cast his head down. "What makes you think you know?" I am silly, such as the noise will be too much, or are not sufficient." Then Tamu nodded and said what Penny did not expect. "I understand. I was afraid to jump in the river." Penny blinked. "But you love the river." "Now I do," he smiled. "The first time, though, it was chilly and noisy and stung my eyes. So I stood on the side, till I was mature." Penny gazed at him a long time, and then she told me, "Perhaps I'm not ready too." The Jungle Joy Parade day came. The bush was full of lively animals, jumping lemurs, chattering birds, and swinging giraffes. Drums beat, ribbons flew, coloured elephants proudly walked, and one after another they marched bravely forward and trumpeted. Loud, swell-winged, happy sounds that echoed in the woods. Penny put herself as near to the back as possible, fastening streamers, applauding properly, and concealing her thumping heart. As the last elephant moved to one side, everyone looked to her. Would she? Could she? Should she? Penny blushed and drew her ears. Her trunk moved. We all were silent. And then Tamu came forward. "I would like to trumpet with Penny," said he. And she had better. And then she said, "If she wanted." Penny stared open-eyed. There was a low murmur from the audience. "She does not move. Not yet." But she gazed down on Tamu, sweet Tamu, and caught her breath. And he walked on. And she did not make a great lift of her trunk. It was no shout she gave. She was standing next to her friend, and she gave out a far tinier, a far quieter toot. It was not very large, it was not adventurous, it was hers, however. A moment in the clearing was left in silence. Then, "Stomp, stomp, stomp," said the elephants. "Went the monkeys, clap, clap, clap." "Hooray!" cried the birds. It was not so noisy that he was scared to death, but inasmuch as it was true. And because Penny, of course, was pink and quiet and thoughtful, Penny had dared to say something. Then, at the end of the parade, Penny sat on the side of the stream with Tamu. "You think I will blast away more loudly next minute?" asked she. Tamu shrugged. "Maybe." And he smiled then. "And perhaps you will open a new sort of song." And Penny smiled and dipped her trunk in the water. She did not feel under pressure, or wrong, or she had to speak with a louder voice to fit in. She felt enough. And since that time, Penny trumpeted when she wished. On other days, just not at all. A day, a whisper. And then, one fair morning, it was raining, and the world, raining, glittered. So softly did she blow that the water gave a rejoicing.